8:57 a.m. Another Monday, another weekly team meeting with her micromanaging supervisor, Patricia. 3 minutes to compose herself before facing the weekly barrage of unrealistic expectations. Hannah took a sip of her lukewarm coffee, adjusted her navy blazer, and clicked the Zoom link from her calendar. The screen flickered to life, but instead of the familiar faces of her marketing team, she found herself staring at a solitary figure, a man with sharp blue eyes, dark hair with distinguished silver at the temples, and an expression of mild surprise. This definitely wasn't her 9 a.m. marketing meeting. "I'm so sorry," Hannah stammered, her finger already moving to disconnect. "Wrong meeting." "Stay," the man said, his voice carrying an unmistakable note of authority. "I was waiting for you." Hannah froze, finger hovering over the disconnect button. "Excuse me?" The man leaned forward slightly, his bespoke suit jacket shifting with the movement. "You're Hannah Mitchell, aren't you? From Crawford Marketing." Her heart skipped a beat. How did this stranger know her name? A quick glance at the meeting details made her stomach drop. This was William Blackwell's meeting. As in William Blackwell, CEO of Blackwell Industries, the parent company that had acquired Crawford Marketing just 3 months ago. "Mr. Blackwell, I apologize for the intrusion. There must be some mistake with my calendar," Hannah explained, mentally cataloguing which co-worker she'd need to throttle for this mix-up. "No mistake, Ms. Mitchell. I specifically requested this meeting," he replied, his expression unreadable. "Though I expected my assistant to inform you properly." Hannah's mind raced through possibilities. Was she being fired? Had her recent presentation on digital marketing strategies somehow caught the CEO's attention, and not in a good way? "Your proposal on restructuring the digital marketing division was interesting," William continued, studying her reaction. Hannah felt the blood drain from her face. That proposal had been confidential, a draft she'd created after hours, frustrated by the inefficiencies she witnessed daily. She'd only shared it with her friend in IT, Jessica, asking for feedback. It was never meant for executive eyes. "How did you—" she began. "It came across my desk yesterday," William interrupted, "though not through conventional channels." A notification pinged and William glanced away briefly. "I've just granted access to one more person who should be joining us." The meeting chime sounded, and Hannah's screen adjusted to accommodate a third participant, David Reynolds, the marketing director, and her boss's boss. His usually friendly face looked tense. "Mr. Blackwell, I apologize for the delay," David said formally before nodding in Hannah's direction. "Hannah." "Now that we're all here, let's begin," William said, straightening a stack of papers on his desk. "Ms. Mitchell, I'd like you to walk us through your proposal." Hannah swallowed hard. "Sir, that document was just a personal exercise. It wasn't meant to—" "15 minutes, Ms. Mitchell," William interrupted gently but firmly. "Consider this your opportunity to defend your ideas." With shaking hands, Hannah opened the document on her computer. What choice did she have? She began explaining her vision for restructuring the digital marketing division, gaining confidence as she spoke about more efficient team configurations, elimination of redundant approval processes, and integration of advanced analytics. As she spoke, she noticed William taking notes, his expression inscrutable. David's face had transitioned from tense to thoughtful, occasionally nodding at certain points. "Your assessment of our current inefficiencies is remarkably accurate," William commented when she finished, "though I wonder about the impact on our more traditional clients." "I've considered that," Hannah replied, finding her voice. "Page 12 outlines a transition strategy that maintains dedicated resources for traditional marketing channels while gradually introducing clients to digital options that could enhance their results." William flipped through his printout, finding the section. One eyebrow raised slightly, the closest thing to approval she'd seen yet. "David," William addressed the marketing director, "your thoughts?" David cleared his throat. "It's bold, certainly. Some of these changes would mean significant restructuring, but—" He paused. "The projected outcomes are compelling. I'm particularly interested in the client retention strategy Hannah's outlined." The conversation continued for another 30 minutes, with William probing deeper into specific aspects of her proposal. Hannah felt like she was defending a dissertation, but with every answer, her confidence grew. "Thank you, David," William finally said. "Would you mind if I speak with Ms. Mitchell privately for a moment?" David nodded and disappeared from the screen, leaving Hannah alone with the CEO once more. Her stomach tightened with anticipation. Ms. Mitchell, William began, setting aside his notes. I've been concerned about our digital marketing division since the acquisition. Your proposal addresses nearly every issue I've identified, plus several I hadn't considered. Thank you, sir, Hannah replied cautiously. I have a proposition for you, William continued. I'm assembling a special task force to implement changes across all our marketing divisions. I need someone with fresh ideas and the courage to present them, even when they might not be welcomed. Hannah's mind reeled. Was this really happening? The role would report directly to me, William added. You'd be working alongside executives with decades of experience, and yes, some of them will resist your ideas simply because you're younger and newer to the industry. I'm used to that, Hannah said, before she could stop herself. A slight smile crossed William's face, the first she'd seen. I suspect you are. The question is, are you interested? Before Hannah could respond, her phone buzzed with an incoming call. Jessica. She ignored it. I am interested, Hannah confirmed, though I'd need to understand more about the scope and expectations. Of course, William nodded. My assistant will set up a proper meeting to discuss details. He glanced at something off-screen. She's actually trying to reach you right now. Hannah's phone buzzed again with a text message from an unknown number. Mr. Blackwell's office here. Please call when you're available. One question, Hannah said, gathering her courage. How did my proposal actually reach you? William's expression became more measured. Let's just say I make it a point to identify talent wherever it exists in my organization, even when it's hidden in unsent draft folders on company servers. A chill ran down Hannah's spine. Had he been monitoring employee files? Before she could formulate a response, William continued. I look forward to working with you, Ms. Mitchell. My assistant will be in touch with next steps. With a nod, he ended the meeting. Hannah sat back in her chair, heart pounding. Her phone immediately rang again. Jessica. Hannah, Jessica exclaimed when she answered. You'll never believe what happened. Someone accessed your draft proposal from my computer last week. I just found out this morning. There's been some kind of security audit and... It's okay, Jess, Hannah interrupted, still processing everything. I just had a meeting with William Blackwell. He's offering me a position on a special task force. The CEO, Jessica whispered. That's... Wow. But Hannah, that's not all. The person who accessed your proposal. It wasn't Blackwell or IT or anyone from upper management. Hannah's excitement faltered. Then who was it? According to the logs, it was Patricia, your boss. Hannah felt the room spin slightly. Patricia, who had shot down every innovative idea Hannah had presented in team meetings. Patricia, who took credit for Hannah's work on the Johnson campaign. Patricia, who had been notably absent from this morning's team meeting. Her phone pinged with an email notification, a meeting request from William Blackwell's office for tomorrow morning, with a pre-meeting dinner tonight to discuss her vision for the future of digital marketing at Blackwell Industries. Something didn't add up. Why would Patricia send her proposal upward? And why would the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company take such immediate interest in a mid-level marketing specialist's unsent draft? As Hannah reached for her now cold coffee, her computer chimed with another incoming email from Patricia. The subject line sent another chill through her. We need to talk now. Hannah stared at Patricia's email for a full minute before opening it. The message was brief but ominous. My office, 10 a.m. This is not optional. She had exactly 45 minutes to prepare for whatever storm was brewing. Hannah sent a quick acknowledgement and then called Jessica back. Tell me everything you know, Hannah said without preamble. The security logs show Patricia accessed your files last Tuesday, Jessica explained. She downloaded your proposal and emailed it to her personal account. Then yesterday, that same document was forwarded to William Blackwell from an anonymous email address. Anonymous? How is that possible on the company system? It wasn't sent through the company system, Jessica replied, her voice dropping. It was sent through a Proton Mail account. Untraceable. Hannah paced her small home office, mind racing. So, Patricia stole my work but then sent it anonymously to the CEO. That doesn't make sense. If she wanted credit, she would have put her name on it. Unless she didn't want credit, Jessica suggested. What if she wanted to get you in trouble? The thought had crossed Hannah's mind. Sending an unsolicited restructuring plan that eliminated several management positions, including potentially Patricia's, could easily be framed as insubordination. But that backfired spectacularly, Hannah murmured. Blackwell liked it. Speaking of which, Jessica continued, there's something else you should know about William Blackwell. He has a reputation for testing people. Testing how? Mind games, unexpected scenarios, throwing people into high-pressure situations to see how they react, Jessica explained. My friend works at his headquarters in Chicago, says Blackwell once fired an entire management team and had junior staff run things for a week just to see what would happen. Hannah's stomach tightened. So this could all be some elaborate test? Or an opportunity, Jessica countered. Either way, you should be careful with Patricia. She's been acting weird since the acquisition. Closed-door meetings, hushed phone calls, something's up. Hannah glanced at the clock, 9:30 a.m. I have to go. I'll call you after I meet with Patricia. Good luck, Jessica said. And Hannah, watch your back. Hannah spent the next 20 minutes researching William Blackwell, uncovering a complex portrait of a business leader with a brilliant strategic mind and unconventional management style. At 42, he'd transformed his father's struggling manufacturing business into a diversified corporate empire through a series of bold acquisitions. Former employees described him as demanding but fair, innovative but calculating. One interview particularly caught her attention. When asked about his hiring philosophy, Blackwell had said, I don't hire people for what they know. I hire them for how they think. Anyone can learn systems and processes. I need people who can see beyond what exists to what could be. At precisely 9:55 a.m., Hannah stood outside Patricia's office, straightening her blazer one last time before knocking. Come in, Patricia's voice sounded strained. Hannah entered to find her boss standing by the window, tension evident in her rigid posture. At 45, Patricia Collins had built her career on playing it safe and following rules. Her office reflected this mindset. Everything organized with military precision, not a paper out of place. Sit down, Hannah, Patricia said without turning around. Hannah complied, waiting silently as Patricia seemed to gather her thoughts. I received a call from David Reynolds this morning, Patricia finally said, turning to face Hannah. Apparently you had quite the meeting with William Blackwell. It was unexpected, Hannah replied carefully. Patricia's laugh held no humor. Unexpected. Yes, I imagine finding yourself in a meeting with the CEO would be unexpected. She sat down across from Hannah. What exactly did you discuss? My proposal for restructuring the digital marketing division, Hannah answered truthfully, watching Patricia's reaction closely. A flicker of something, anger, fear, crossed Patricia's face before her professional mask returned. A proposal you never shared with your direct supervisor. It was just a personal exercise, Hannah explained, repeating what she'd told William. I never intended for it to be circulated. And yet somehow, it found its way to William Blackwell. Patricia's knuckles whitened as she gripped her armrest. Do you know what your little exercise suggests? It suggests eliminating my position entirely. Hannah remained silent, unsure how to respond. 3 months ago, we were an independent agency, Patricia continued, her voice rising slightly. Now we're just another acquisition, fighting for resources and relevance within Blackwell Industries. Some of us have been working tirelessly to prove our value to the new ownership. I understand that. No, you don't, Patricia snapped. You've been here, 2 years? I've dedicated 15 years to building Crawford marketing, 15 years of sacrifices you couldn't begin to comprehend. The bitterness in Patricia's voice surprised Hannah. Beneath the rigid exterior was a woman genuinely afraid for her future. I didn't send the proposal to Mr. Blackwell, Hannah said quietly. Patricia's eyes narrowed. Then who did? According to IT, you downloaded it from my drafts folder and forwarded it to your personal email. Patricia's face paled slightly before flushing with anger. You're having me investigated? How dare you? I didn't, Hannah began, but Patricia cut her off. Let me be very clear. If you think cozying up to Blackwell will save you when the inevitable cuts come, you're sorely mistaken. He's not known for his loyalty to employees. The conversation was derailing rapidly. Hannah decided to change tactics. Patricia, I have no interest in taking your job or undermining your position. My proposal was about making our division more efficient, not about eliminating experienced leadership. Patricia studied Hannah for a long moment. You've been offered a position on his task force, haven't you? Hannah nodded reluctantly. And you're meeting him for dinner tonight, Patricia added, confirming she somehow knew about the invitation Hannah had only received an hour ago. Yes. Patricia leaned back in her chair, something calculating replacing the anger in her expression. Then perhaps we can help each other. What do you mean? Blackwell values information, specifically information about what's really happening in his companies, not just what executives tell him. That's why your proposal caught his attention. It highlighted inefficiencies others have been concealing. Hannah waited, sensing there was more. I have information that would be very valuable to him, Patricia continued. Information about certain accounting irregularities at Crawford that predated the acquisition, but continue to this day. Hannah felt a chill. You want me to be your informant? I want us to form an alliance, Patricia corrected. You have Blackwell's ear. I have information he needs. Together we could not only secure our positions, but potentially advance them. And if I refuse? Patricia's smile didn't reach her eyes. Then I'll be forced to protect myself by whatever means necessary. Including sharing some concerning emails you sent, disparaging Blackwell Industries during the acquisition process. Hannah remembered those venting sessions with Jessica. Unprofessional, perhaps, but hardly scandalous. That sounds like blackmail. That sounds like business, Patricia countered. You have until tomorrow morning to decide. Hannah stood, recognizing the dismissal. As she reached the door, Patricia added, One more thing. Your friend in IT, Jessica, isn't it? She should be more careful about accessing security logs. That kind of unauthorized snooping is grounds for immediate termination. The threat was unmistakable. Hannah left without another word, her mind whirling with implications. On her way back to her office, her phone chimed with a text from an unknown number. Car will pick you up at 7 p.m. for dinner with Mr. Blackwell. Business casual. Claire Donovan, executive assistant. The rest of the day passed in a blur of meetings and preparations. Hannah cancelled her evening plans with Ryan, her boyfriend of 6 months, who took the news with surprising irritation. Another rain check, he complained. That's the 3rd time this month. This is important, Ryan, Hannah explained, keeping her voice low as colleagues passed her office. It's dinner with the CEO. It's always something important with you, Ryan sighed. Your career always comes first. The familiar argument threatened to unfold again. Ryan's landscaping business operated on a strict 9-to-5 schedule, and he struggled to understand Hannah's professional ambition. She didn't have time to navigate his insecurities today. We'll talk tomorrow, she promised before ending the call. At 6:30 p.m., Hannah surveyed herself in her hallway mirror. She'd chosen a sleek black dress with a tailored burgundy blazer, professional yet confident. Her normally wavy brown hair was smoothed into a simple updo, and she'd added pearl earrings that had belonged to her grandmother. As she applied a final touch of lipstick, her phone rang. Jessica. I just got called into HR, Jessica said without greeting. Someone reported me for improper system access. Hannah closed her eyes briefly. Patricia. Has to be. They've suspended my access pending investigation. I'm so sorry, Jess. Not your fault, Jessica replied, though her voice was tight with stress. But whatever's happening here goes deeper than office politics, Hannah. Be careful tonight with Blackwell. The buzzing of Hannah's apartment intercom interrupted them. The car had arrived. I have to go, Hannah said. I'll call you later. As the sleek black car pulled away from her apartment building, Hannah felt like she was being carried towards something much bigger and more complicated than a simple dinner meeting. Patricia's threats, Jessica's warning, Blackwell's mysterious interest in her work. None of it quite added up. Her phone buzzed with a text from Ryan. Good luck tonight. Sorry about earlier. Love you. At least one thing in her life was straightforward, Hannah thought as she texted back a quick thanks. Or was it? Even that relationship had been strained lately, with Ryan's increasing resentment of her career focus. As the car approached one of the city's most exclusive restaurants, Hannah squared her shoulders. Whatever game was being played, she refused to be just a pawn in it. The restaurant was exactly what Hannah expected for a CEO's dining choice, understated elegance with private alcoves for discreet conversation. The maitre d' led her through the dimly lit space to a secluded table in the back, where William Blackwell was already seated, studying something on his tablet. He stood when he saw her, his imposing height accentuated by impeccable posture. Ms. Mitchell, he greeted, gesturing to the chair across from him, thank you for joining me on such short notice. Thank you for the invitation, Mr. Blackwell, Hannah replied, settling into her seat and fighting the urge to fidget under his scrutiny. William, please, he insisted, closing his tablet. Work formalities seem unnecessary for dinner. A server appeared immediately, pouring water and presenting wine menus. After they ordered, William selecting a bottle of Pinot Noir that cost more than Hannah's monthly car payment, he leaned back slightly, studying her with those penetrating blue eyes. "You've had quite the day, I imagine," he said. Hannah chose her words carefully. "It's been eventful." A hint of amusement crossed his face. "I'd like to hear about your conversation with Patricia Collins." Hannah nearly choked on her water. "You know about that? I make it my business to know what happens in my companies," William replied, his tone matter-of-fact, "especially when it involves someone I'm considering for a significant position." The wine arrived, temporarily pausing their conversation. After it was poured and the server departed, Hannah took a fortifying sip before responding. "Patricia is concerned about what my proposal might mean for her position," she said diplomatically. "And she threatened you," William stated rather than asked. "Probably something involving old emails or messages that could be taken out of context." Hannah stared at him, unsettled by his accuracy. "How could you possibly know that?" "Because Patricia Collins has used the same tactics on 3 other employees in the past 2 months, William replied, his expression hardening slightly. "It's a predictable move for someone trying to protect their territory." "She also mentioned accounting irregularities at Crawford," Hannah added, watching his reaction carefully, "predating the acquisition." Something flickered in William's eyes. Surprise, perhaps, or confirmation of a suspicion. "Did she offer details?" "No. She positioned it as information she'd share if I agreed to an alliance." William nodded slowly. "Interesting. And what did you tell her?" "Nothing yet. She gave me until tomorrow to decide." "Wise," he commented, taking a sip of his wine. "Never rush important decisions." Their meals arrived. Seared scallops for Hannah, steak for William, and the conversation shifted to more general topics. William asked about her background, education, and career path. Hannah found herself relaxing slightly as she described her journey from marketing student to digital specialist. "What brought you to Crawford specifically?" William asked as they finished their entrees. "Honestly, their work-life balance policies," Hannah admitted. "I had offers from larger agencies, but they all expected 60-hour weeks as standard. Crawford promised reasonable hours and remote work flexibility." "And has that held true?" "Mostly," Hannah nodded, "though things have been more intense since the acquisition." "Because of uncertainty or increased workload?" "Both," Hannah replied. "Plus the cultural shift. Crawford was family-owned, very collaborative. Blackwell Industries is more hierarchical." William raised an eyebrow. "You're not afraid to be direct, are you?" "I find it saves time," Hannah said, immediately wondering if she'd gone too far. To her surprise, William laughed, a genuine sound that transformed his serious face. "I agree completely. Directness is undervalued in corporate America." As dessert was served, William steered the conversation toward her proposal. "What inspired it? Most employees at your level don't spend their free time redesigning organizational structures." Hannah considered her answer. "Frustration, initially. I kept encountering the same bottlenecks. Approvals that took weeks, resources split across competing priorities, teams working in silos. The acquisition added new layers of complexity without addressing existing problems." "So you decided to solve it yourself?" "I decided to think through what might work better," Hannah clarified. "I never intended it to be implemented. It was just a thought exercise." William studied her for a moment. "That thought exercise identified inefficiencies that 3 separate consulting firms missed in their post-acquisition analysis. You have good instincts, Hannah." The compliment caught her off guard. "Thank you." "Now about the task force," William continued. "It's not just about reorganizing marketing. It's about integrating Crawford's strengths into Blackwell's broader strategy while eliminating redundancies." "Eliminating redundancies," Hannah repeated carefully. "You mean laying people off?" William didn't flinch. "Some positions will be eliminated, yes. That's the reality of acquisitions, but talent will be reassigned where possible." "And Patricia's position? That depends partly on what you discover about these accounting irregularities she mentioned," William replied, his expression turning serious. "Which brings me to the real reason for this dinner." Hannah set down her dessert fork, suddenly alert. "I need someone on the inside of Crawford's leadership team," William explained. "Someone who can access information without raising suspicions, someone people trust and confide in." Understanding dawned on Hannah. You want me to spy for you? I prefer to think of it as conducting due diligence that should have happened before the acquisition, William corrected smoothly. There are discrepancies in Crawford's financial reporting that my team has flagged. Nothing definitively illegal, but concerning enough to warrant deeper investigation. Hannah felt her earlier unease returning. Why me? Why not use your internal audit team? Because an official audit would alert the very people we're concerned about, William explained, and because you've already demonstrated you can see problems others miss. So the task force position is genuine, William assured her, but it also provides the perfect cover for you to access information across departments. You'll report officially to David Reynolds, but you'll share your findings about these potential irregularities directly with me. Hannah's mind raced. The opportunity was extraordinary, but the ethical implications troubled her. What if I find nothing irregular? Then Crawford's books are clean, and you'll have still contributed valuable insights to the task force, William replied. This isn't about manufacturing evidence, Hannah. It's about finding the truth. She considered his words. And if I decline this particular aspect of the role, William studied her for a moment, the task force position remains yours if you want it. I don't pressure people into ethical compromises. That creates liabilities, not assets. But I think you're curious enough to want to know what's really happening at Crawford. He wasn't wrong. The accountant in Hannah, her first major before switching to marketing, was already analyzing possibilities. I need to think about it, she finally said. Of course, take tonight to consider. William signaled for the check. I'll need your answer at our official meeting tomorrow. As they waited for the car that would take Hannah home, William added, one last thing. Trust no one with this information. Not friends, not colleagues, not significant others. Corporate espionage is more common than you might think. The ride home gave Hannah time to process the evening's revelations. William Blackwell wasn't just testing her with the proposal. He was recruiting her for something that walked a fine line between corporate investigation and industrial espionage. The career opportunity was undeniable, but at what cost to her integrity? When she arrived home just after 10 p.m., she was surprised to find Ryan's car parked outside her apartment building. They didn't have plans, and he rarely showed up unannounced. She found him sitting on her couch, scrolling through his phone. He looked up when she entered, his expression uncharacteristically serious. How was dinner with the big boss, he asked, his tone just slightly off. Interesting, Hannah replied cautiously. What brings you here? Ryan stood, pocketing his phone. Can't I surprise my girlfriend? Of course, Hannah said, setting down her purse. It's just unusual for a weeknight. Ryan approached, kissing her briefly. You look beautiful. That dress is new, isn't it? I bought it last month, Hannah replied, increasingly puzzled by his behavior. Ryan, is everything okay? Just missed you, he said, wandering toward her kitchen. Want some wine? I brought that red you like. As Ryan opened the bottle, Hannah noticed his hands were slightly unsteady. Something was definitely wrong. How's the landscaping project at the Wilsons going? She asked, trying to ease into normal conversation. Ryan paused mid-pour. It's fine. Almost done. He handed her a glass. Tell me about Blackwell. Is he as intimidating as they say? He's intense, Hannah replied carefully. But fair, I think. And this new position he's offering sounds like a big opportunity. Hannah's internal alarms began to sound. She hadn't told Ryan any details about the task force. How did you know about that? Ryan's expression shifted, almost imperceptibly. You mentioned it earlier, remember, when you cancelled our plans. I said I was having dinner with the CEO, Hannah corrected. I never mentioned a new position. The atmosphere in the room changed instantly. Ryan set down his untouched wineglass. Patricia called me, he admitted. She said you were being considered for a promotion and wanted to surprise you with a celebration dinner. She asked what time you'd be home. Hannah felt cold dread settling in her stomach. Ryan, I never gave Patricia your number. She said she got it from HR for emergency contact purposes, Ryan explained, looking increasingly uncomfortable. Was that not true? Hannah's mind raced. Patricia had been trying to find out when she'd be home and had sent Ryan to gather information about her dinner with William. Ryan, Hannah asked carefully, what exactly did Patricia ask you to do tonight? He hesitated, guilt crossing his features. Just to find out what you and Blackwell discussed. She said it was important for planning your surprise promotion party. Hannah felt sick. Patricia was using her boyfriend as an unwitting spy. She also asked me to... Ryan trailed off, then reached into his pocket and pulled out a small device. She wanted me to put this on your laptop, said it was some kind of company software update that IT needed to install remotely. Hannah stared at the device, a keylogger, almost certainly. Patricia wasn't just fishing for information. She was actively trying to surveil Hannah's communications. Ryan, Hannah said quietly, Patricia is not planning any surprise party. She's trying to use you to spy on me. Ryan's face flushed with embarrassment and anger. Why would she do that? Because of office politics you wouldn't understand, Hannah replied, then immediately regretted her dismissive tone. Try me, Ryan challenged, his expression hardening. Or is this another thing that's too complicated for someone with just a community college degree to grasp? The unfair accusation stung. That's not what I meant. Isn't it? Ryan shot back. For months you've been pulling away, treating our relationship like it's secondary to your precious career. Now I find out you're keeping secrets about promotions and special dinners with the CEO. It's complicated, Hannah insisted. It always is with you, Ryan said, grabbing his jacket. Let me know when you decide I'm worth bringing into your complicated life. He stormed out, leaving Hannah staring at the keylogger device he'd abandoned on her coffee table. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Whatever you decide, remember everyone has ulterior motives, even those closest to you. WB. Hannah stared at the message, a chill running down her spine. How did William know about Ryan's visit? Was she being watched? And if so, by whom? The trust no one warning echoed in her mind as she carefully examined her apartment, checking for any signs of surveillance. Finding nothing obvious didn't reassure her. The boundaries between paranoia and prudence were quickly blurring. As she finally prepared for bed, another text arrived from Jessica. HR meeting scheduled for 8 a.m. tomorrow. I think I'm being fired. Need to talk ASAP. The walls were closing in from all sides. Whatever Hannah decided about William's offer, she was already caught in a web of corporate intrigue that threatened not just her career, but her personal relationships and possibly even her safety. Hannah barely slept, her mind cycling through scenarios and strategies until dawn. By 6 a.m., she'd made her decision. She showered, dressed in her most confidence-boosting outfit, a charcoal grey suit with subtle pinstripes, and headed to the office 2 hours earlier than usual. The building was nearly empty, giving her the privacy she needed. First, she called Jessica, who answered immediately. I'm already at the office, Hannah said without preamble. Meet me in the third-floor conference room in 30 minutes. Use the service elevator to avoid security cameras in the main lobby. Hannah, what's going... Not over the phone, Hannah interrupted. Just trust me. Next, she sent a brief text to William. I accept the position. Need to meet earlier than scheduled. Urgent developments. His reply came seconds later. 7:30 a.m., my hotel. Sending car now. The pieces were moving. Hannah logged into her computer, using a secure browser to document everything that had happened in the past 24 hours. She saved the file to an encrypted drive, then headed to the conference room to wait for Jessica. Her friend arrived looking pale and tense. My access badge barely worked, Jessica said, closing the door behind her. They've already started cutting me off. I need everything you can get me on Crawford's financial reporting for the past 2 years, Hannah said, keeping her voice low. Specifically, client billing records versus reported revenue. Jessica's eyes widened. That's above my clearance level. I know, Hannah acknowledged. But if anyone can access it without leaving digital footprints, it's you. Use the emergency admin credentials. Those are for system failures only, Jessica protested. Using them for this would be grounds for criminal charges, not just termination. Hannah met her friend's worried gaze. Jess, do you trust me? You know I do. Then please, just this once. I think Patricia is involved in something serious, and I need proof before my meeting with Blackmail. Jessica studied Hannah's face, then nodded reluctantly. Give me 15 minutes. While Jessica worked, Hannah prepared for her confrontation with Patricia, who typically arrived at 7 a.m. sharp. At precisely 7:03, Hannah saw her boss march past the conference room, heading for her office. Jessica returned moments later with a USB drive. I found something, she said. her voice trembling slightly. Multiple instances where client payments don't match reported revenue. The differences are disguised as marketing research expenses, but they're being directed to an offshore account. Hannah felt a mix of vindication and dread. How much? Nearly $2 million over 18 months, Jessica replied. Hannah, this is major financial fraud. Patricia's electronic signature is on every transaction. That explains why she was so desperate to control the narrative with Blackmail, Hannah murmured. She knew an audit would uncover this eventually. What are you going to do? First, you need to get out of here, Hannah insisted. Go home, pack a bag, and wait for my call. Don't answer your phone for anyone else. You're scaring me, Jessica said quietly. I'm trying to protect you, Hannah countered, squeezing her friend's hand. The less you know right now, the better. After Jessica left, Hannah headed straight for Patricia's office. She didn't bother knocking. Patricia looked up in surprise, then annoyance. I don't recall scheduling a meeting this early. I found the accounting irregularities, Hannah said calmly, closing the door behind her. $2 million, Patricia. Did you really think no one would notice? The color drained from Patricia's face. I have no idea what you're talking about. Save it, Hannah replied, holding up the USB drive. I have the transaction records. Your signature is on all of them. Patricia's expression morphed from shock to calculated composure. Where did you get those files? That's not important, Hannah said. What matters is what I do with them. Patricia leaned back in her chair, seemingly regaining her equilibrium. And what exactly do you plan to do? Turn them over to Blackmail? You're implicated too, you know. How do you figure that? The system logs will show you accessed those files, Patricia explained with cold confidence. Or rather, that someone using your credentials did. I've been documenting your erratic behavior for months, missed deadlines, conflicts with co-workers. It would be easy to paint you as a disgruntled employee trying to frame me. Hannah hadn't anticipated this angle. No one would believe that. They might, Patricia countered, especially after they learn about your boyfriend's visit to your apartment last night. Installing company spyware on a personal device? That's a serious security violation. Hannah's blood ran cold. You're monitoring my apartment? Patricia's smile was chilling. Crawford may seem old-fashioned, but our security systems are quite sophisticated. Did you really think I wouldn't protect myself against ambitious underlings like you? The pieces clicked together. William's mysterious text warning that everyone had ulterior motives. He must have known about Patricia's surveillance. Perhaps he even had his own. Here's what's going to happen, Patricia continued, her voice hardening. You'll decline Blackmail's offer and request a transfer to another division. You'll hand over that drive and any copies you've made. In exchange, I'll ensure your friend Jessica keeps her job, and this unfortunate misunderstanding never appears in your personnel file. Hannah considered her options. She glanced at her watch, 7:25 a.m. The car would be waiting downstairs to take her to William's hotel. I need time to think, she said finally. You have until noon, Patricia replied. And Hannah, don't test me on this. You'll lose. Hannah left Patricia's office with her heart pounding. The stakes had escalated beyond office politics to potential criminal charges. She took the elevator to the lobby, where she found a sleek black car waiting. During the short drive to William's hotel, Hannah reviewed the evidence on the USB drive, confirming what Jessica had found. The fraud was elaborate but clearly documented. Patricia hadn't just been embezzling, she'd created a complex scheme that could potentially implicate others if discovered. The car pulled up to an upscale downtown hotel. A concierge directed Hannah to a private meeting room off the lobby where William waited, looking as impeccable at 7:30 a.m. as he had at dinner. You look troubled, he observed as she entered. I found your accounting irregularities, Hannah replied without preamble, handing him the USB drive. Patricia Collins has been diverting client payments to an offshore account for at least 18 months, around $2 million total. William didn't appear surprised. He inserted the drive into his laptop and reviewed the files in silence. Finally, he looked up. This confirms our suspicions. Well done. Patricia knows I've found this, Hannah continued. She's threatening to frame me for security violations if I expose her. Let me guess, she's monitoring your activities outside work as well. Hannah nodded. Apparently, she has been for months, including my apartment. Not legally, she hasn't, William replied. Corporate surveillance of employees in their private residences without explicit consent is a federal crime. Then why would she admit to it? Because she's desperate, William said simply. And desperate people make mistakes. He opened his briefcase and removed a folder, sliding it across the table to Hannah. This contains everything our security team has uncovered about Patricia's activities since the acquisition. We've been building a case against her, but needed the final pieces you've just provided. Hannah flipped through the documents, detailed reports of financial discrepancies, timeline of suspicious activities, even transcripts of conversations Patricia had with offshore banking representatives. You knew, Hannah said quietly. You knew all along. We suspected, William corrected, but suspicion isn't proof. We needed someone on the inside to help connect the dots. Why not just fire her during the acquisition? Because firing her would have alerted her to our suspicions, potentially allowing her to cover her tracks, and the fraud predated our acquisition, which means Blackwell Industries could be held liable if we didn't handle this properly. Hannah processed this information. So I was your... what? Your undercover agent? You were the perfect catalyst, William explained. Your proposal highlighted inefficiencies that would expose Patricia's scheme if implemented. When she accessed your files, it confirmed she was monitoring potential threats to her operation. And sending me to dinner with you. A test, William admitted. I needed to see if you could be trusted with sensitive information, and if you had the instincts to pursue the truth rather than personal gain. Patricia's offer of an alliance gave you the perfect opportunity to choose sides. Hannah felt a mix of admiration and irritation. You've been manipulating this situation from the beginning. I prefer to think of it as creating conditions where the truth could emerge naturally, William replied with a slight smile. The task force position is still genuine, by the way. I meant what I said about your insights. What happens now? Now, William said, standing. We meet with the FBI agents waiting upstairs. Financial fraud across state lines falls under federal jurisdiction. They'll want your statement. Hannah's stomach dropped. FBI. But what about... Your friend Jessica will be fine, William assured her. As will you. You've done nothing wrong, and the evidence will bear that out. And Ryan? Your boyfriend? William raised an eyebrow. That's entirely up to you, though I would suggest that anyone so easily manipulated by Patricia might not be the most reliable partner. The harsh assessment stung, but Hannah couldn't entirely disagree. Ryan's willingness to plant spyware, however unwittingly, had revealed a troubling lack of judgment. The next few hours passed in a blur of official statements, documentation, and legal assurances. Hannah watched from a conference room window as Patricia was escorted from the Crawford offices by federal agents, her face a mask of cold fury. By afternoon, the office was buzzing with rumors and speculation. David Reynolds called an emergency all-staff meeting to announce Patricia's indefinite leave of absence and to introduce Hannah as the interim digital marketing director. The shocked expressions of her former teammates almost made the stress of the past 24 hours worthwhile. Almost. When she finally returned to her apartment that evening, Hannah found a small envelope that had been slipped under her door. Inside was a handwritten note from William. The surveillance devices have been removed from your apartment. Your privacy is restored. Dinner tomorrow to discuss your first official task force assignment. WB. Hannah smiled, despite her exhaustion. She texted Jessica, confirming her friend's job was secure. In fact, she'd been offered a promotion to senior IT security specialist. Then she faced the more difficult task, calling Ryan. I've been worried sick, he said when he answered. The news is saying there was some kind of FBI raid at your company. It's been a crazy day, Hannah acknowledged. Can you come over? We need to talk. Ryan arrived 30 minutes later, his expression a mix of concern and contrition. I'm so sorry about last night, he began immediately. I should never have agreed to put that device on your computer. No, you shouldn't have, Hannah agreed, gesturing for him to sit. It showed a serious lack of judgment, Ryan. I know, he said miserably. I felt so disconnected from your work life, and when Patricia called, it felt like a chance to be involved in something important to you. Hannah studied him, his open, earnest face so different from the calculating expressions she'd navigated all day. There was no duplicity in Ryan, just insecurity and poor decision-making. I need to know something, she said carefully. If we stay together, my career is only going to get more demanding. The position I've been offered is significant, director level with potential for further advancement. Can you support that honestly? Ryan was quiet for a long moment. I want to say yes, automatically, he finally replied. But I think we both deserve more honesty than that. The truth is, I've been jealous of your career. My business is stable but not exciting, and watching you climb the corporate ladder has been hard on my ego. The admission surprised Hannah with its self-awareness. But, Ryan continued, seeing you nearly get caught in some kind of corporate espionage scheme made me realize something. I'd rather have you successful and occasionally busy than lose you entirely. So, yes, I can support your career, if you'll be patient while I work through my own insecurities. It wasn't the unconditional support Hannah might have wished for, but it was honest. And after a day of manipulation and deception, honesty felt refreshingly valuable. I can work with that, she said, reaching for his hand. 6 months later, Hannah stood in front of the assembled executive team at Blackmail Industries' Chicago headquarters. As the newly appointed Vice President of Digital Strategy, she was presenting the final recommendations of her task force, recommendations that would reshape not just Crawford marketing, but all 7 of Blackwell's marketing acquisitions. William sat at the head of the table, watching with quiet approval as Hannah fielded questions with confidence and insight. The transformation from mid-level specialist to executive had been challenging but exhilarating. Jessica had flourished in her new security role, implementing systems that would prevent future financial fraud. Ryan had indeed worked on his insecurities, even enrolling in business courses to better understand Hannah's world. Their relationship had deepened through honest communication and mutual respect. As the meeting concluded to enthusiastic approval, William approached Hannah. "Congratulations," he said, shaking her hand firmly. "You've exceeded even my expectations." "Thank you for the opportunity," Hannah replied sincerely. "Though next time you need someone to help expose corporate fraud, perhaps a little more warning would be appreciated." William laughed. That genuine laugh that still surprised her when it emerged from his usually serious demeanor. "Noted. Though I hope there won't be a next time. Just one question that's always bothered me," Hannah said as they walked toward his office. "That first morning when I accidentally joined your Zoom meeting, was it really an accident?" William's smile was enigmatic. "What do you think?" Hannah considered the perfect timing, the calendar mistake that had changed the trajectory of her career. "I think you created the conditions for the truth to emerge naturally," she said, echoing his words from 6 months ago. "Smart woman," William replied, holding open his office door. "Now let's talk about your first acquisition target. I think you're ready to build your own team." As Hannah entered his office, she reflected on how a single wrong Zoom meeting had led to this moment, exposing fraud, advancing her career, and even strengthening her personal relationships through honest communication. Sometimes, the wrong meeting turned out to be exactly right.